Now, the theme of today is being what? Different. So here's what we're going to do to start this off. We're going to rock this place. Everybody having a great time at OutBound? Yeah. All right. I want to hear how loud you can get. I want everybody hearing this. Pretend the program's over. You learn a lot of stuff. Whoa, not that excited, sir. Not that excited. Woo! Wow. Okay. I want to hear you loud, clapping like you've just seen the greatest thing ever. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right, that's different. Now, you're all at OutBound. You've seen some amazing speakers, haven't you? Yes. Well, I'm certainly one of them. But you may be wondering, how did Lee Salz get selected to speak at OutBound? Be honest, you're thinking, how? There's lots of speakers out there. There's so many sales books out there. How did Lee Salz get selected to be at OutBound?
He's different. Hey, Jed.
No, I'm the best sales consultant in the world. Jeffrey.
Second best.
Jed is good.
Wait, you guys are... Wait a minute. Let me understand this. So I come up here, I introduce myself to you as the best sales consultant in the world, and you laugh at me? Some of you got these looks on your faces like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I see people standing out here thinking, you know what, I'm going to give them my chair. I'm getting out. So I'd like you to do something. Find a piece of paper. And I'd like you to write down 3 descriptors of me, adjectives, based on my introduction to you as the best sales consultant in the world. 3 adjectives, 3 descriptors of me based on my introduction to you as the best sales consultant in the world.
I didn't think anyone was going to say that.
Just watch the screen. There's a wire, I think there's a wire down here.
He's the best sales consultant in the world.
There you go.
That's why the room's
Do you have your 3?
I do.
What'd you have?
Energetic.
Energetic?
Cocky.
Cocky?
Confident.
Confident.
No.
Thank you. What did you have?
Boring.
Boring.
Too egoistic for me.
Too
Like,
elastic?
Too egoistic for me.
Egoistic?
Like full
Okay.
for yourself. And
Okay, I need a dictionary. Hang on. I'm not that smart. And what was your other one?
This is like for yourself about like not ethical. If somebody tells you that you're best,
Unethical.
they have to question it.
Well, thank you so much for coming to my session. The door is over there. Wow. How long have I been up here? 3 minutes? I'm already insulted. What did you have?
I got confident,
Confident.
loud,
Loud? Energetic. Well, I don't have a microphone, so I got to be loud. And I'm from Jersey, so.
Energetic, engaging, confident.
Wow. Okay. Well, here's what I typically get. Full of himself, arrogant, cocky. None of those are positive descriptors, are they?
No.
Now, if you were thinking that about me, but too kind, except you, to say that, here's my question for you. Why do you think your prospects and clients feel any differently about you than you feel about me at this moment when you come marching in saying my company, my products, my services are the best?
Yeah.
They feel the same way about you that you feel about me at this moment. Remember that the next time you use the word best. But why do we even use that word? Why do we go there? There's actually 2 reasons. The first one is to build relationships with others. That's why we say we're the best. And the second is to differentiate ourselves. So we describe ourselves as the best. We think we're moving closer to the deal. We're endearing ourselves to others. The reality, we're turning people off. Oh, sure, you say you're the best. You want to get a commission check. I get it. Buy or eye roll. You may not always see it, but it's always there. And you know this is true because you're all in sales, but you're also buyers. When a salesperson uses that word best, what do? Oh, here we go. The game is afoot, isn't it? That's what we think. We're not building relationships, we're turning people off. I always get a kick out of giving this talk. You know, the camera's over here. It really should be behind me because everybody comes in the room, big smiles. Hey, this is going to be fun. We're going to talk about sales differentiation. And then I introduce myself as the best sales consultant in the world, and the looks of horror on your faces. Can we leave now? Is the look that you all had on your faces. Now, you can tell from my accent, I grew up in the East Coast. I actually live in Minneapolis now. I went to college in upstate New York. Binghamton University is what it's called now. It was called SUNY Binghamton at the time. And I was a history major. But while I was a history major, I also learned some historical business facts. And I'm going to share several of those with you here today. So here's the first one. In the history of business, no salesperson has ever gone on a sales call and said, you know, my product, that's pretty good. Our people are okay. Service is so-so, and our technology is eh. How many would you like to buy? It's never happened in the history of business. Every salesperson comes in preaching that what they have to offer is the best. So instead of sounding different, we sound like every other salesperson, calling on that same individual. Imagine starting a sales call like this. I'm not going to tell you that what I have to offer is the best. What I will do today is share with you some differences that our clients find meaningful, and you can decide for yourself if those are meaningful to you as well. Oh my gosh, thank you. Think of the message there. Let's put our swords down and figure out if there's a business relationship for us to put together. That's different. Now, the issue with the word best is we can't prove it. I can't prove to you that I'm the best sales consultant in the world. And I'm betting you can't prove that your company, your products, your services are the best. So why go there? All we do is unnecessarily tarnish the relationship right in those first few moments. But I've studied this issue. I've studied this. I told you I was a history major. And I've discovered the one person in the world, the one person on the planet who can say best and have it be meaningful. Anybody know who that person is? You're a client. Never call them a customer. Look those words up in Webster's. Okay? Anybody like being called a vendor? Right? It's like a four-letter word to us in sales, isn't it? Well, that's the same thing when you call them a customer. Anybody speak Spanish here? What does vender mean? To sell. Vendor. The entire relationship is selling. So a vendor goes with a customer. A customer, look it up in Webster's, is someone who buys stuff. A vendor is one who sells stuff. We have clients. Look that up. They're not synonyms. It's one who's under the protection of another. Have you ever heard an accountant or a lawyer say, I have customers? There's a reason why. But it's your client. When your client says you're the best, that's meaningful. That's what makes the reference stage of the process so important. Because what others have to say about you, when they're saying you're the best, we pay attention to it. Why do they get to say it, but we can't? There's actually two reasons. The first one is they bought from us. They experienced us, had an outstanding experience. And secondly, there's no, was that a baby crying? There's, wow. Even, where's Jeffrey? Oh, he left already. Because even Jeffrey's not getting babies crying. Where? You're in the cheap seats down there.
I know what you look like. I just want to listen.
That's an answer.
Second reason is that there's no financial motivation for them when they say that you're the best. So they have credibility that we don't. We've all bought on Amazon. Every item on Amazon has a glowing description from the manufacturer, doesn't it? That description alone doesn't get us to put the item in our shopping cart. What do? Reviews. Reviews from total strangers influence our decision of whether or not to buy. Manufacturer said it's the best. Of course you say it's the best. What do others have to say who've experienced you, have experienced your product? That's meaningful, and that affects my decision to buy from you or not. All right, let's come back to the two reasons why we use that word best. What was the first one?
Build relationships.
Build relationships. And the second?
Differentiation.
We failed twice. Because we're turning people off and we sound like every other salesperson calling on that individual. So when it comes to the word best, when we say it, it means nothing. When others say it about us, it means everything. We need to get out of the business of using the word best and position different. Different. In a meaningful way so that our buyers see our solution is the best without us ever saying the word. We've all had this experience. We've been on a sales call, we did all the discovery, now we're laying out the solution. And we lay it out, and the prospect says, this is the best solution ever. Right? We've all had that experience? What does that sound like? Yes! This is the best! That's how we know we're effectively selling. Not when we say best, when others say it about us. Now, when you first heard about this program, all about differentiation, you probably said, that's a marketing thing. I'm a salesperson. Why am I here? And quite frankly, when I first talk with executives about the subject of differentiation, their minds always go one place, marketing. They're not wrong. They're just limited in their beliefs. There's actually two types of differentiation. There's marketing differentiation and there's sales differentiation. And they're related, but they're also, dare I say, different. Marketing differentiation is one-directional communication for the masses. It says, hey, look at us, we're here. It lays out all the potential of what the relationship could be, all the capabilities that you could potentially bring to bear. Right, think about it. That's your website, your collateral material. When you go to a trade show, here's everything that we could be in this relationship. Sales differentiation takes all of this potential and brings it down to the right solution for you. Everyone buys for a different reason. Why she buys is different than why she buys and why he buys and why he buys. Everyone buys for a different reason. Sales differentiation gives us the tools to personalize that experience. Raise your hand if you sell solutions. How can you sell solutions? You can't sell solutions. Solutions are something that you build, that you construct based on discovery conversation. Based on that discovery conversation, you then construct a solution. You can't sell a solution. It can't be in a box. It's impossible. And that's what sales differentiation does. It gives you the tools to build, to craft in a meaningful way that solution. So let me bring this to life for you. In the 1990s, luxury car companies like Lexus and Mercedes changed their business model. They'd always sold cars, and they said, we're going to change, and we're going to start leasing cars. But they didn't account for a major business problem. See, when you sell a car, it goes away once, never to return. When you lease it, it goes for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then it comes back. And the way the economic model works is you need to lease it at a particular price point, and then you need to sell it at a particular price point when it comes back to be in the black on the entire transaction. So they were leasing these cars, and they'd come back, and they were hamstrung because there was a word to describe these cars, which is used cars. Used cars. And think of the image that we get in our minds about used cars. That's a jalopy. That's what we buy our teenagers when they first get their driver's license because we know it's going to get banged up. Well, these executives said, that's not what these cars are. They don't have many miles on them. They're in great shape. It's still a Lexus. It's still a Mercedes. We want to reach a different caliber buyer. We want to reach that individual who has the financial wherewithal to buy a new car. Maybe not a new Lexus or a new Mercedes, but a new car. So what did they do? Certified pre-owned. Because we didn't believe that someone else's butt had been in that seat prior. We had to put certified on it. I believe you. Someone else owned the car. You don't need certified on there. And that worked tremendously well for them. It changed the perception of these cars. Every car dealership, including Honda and Hyundai, all of these car dealerships now have new cars and certified pre-owned. It changed the perception that we had of these vehicles. So to bring this back to marketing and sales differentiation, it was marketing differentiation that brought someone to the lot to consider one of these cars. But remember who they were going after. People who had the financial wherewithal to buy a new car. So these people had lots of choices. On the same lot, they could go to other lots, they could have bought new. It's sales differentiation that led to one car ending up in your driveway today. Taking all of this potential in the relationship, narrowing it down to the right one for you based on your needs, wants, goals, and desires. Now, when we talk about sales differentiation, there's two parts to it. The first part is sales differentiation in what you sell. And that's understanding what your differentiators are, when they're relevant, to whom they're relevant, and most importantly, communicating them in such a way that the person on the other side of the desk is as passionate about that as you are. Were you taking pictures? So I told you I live in Minneapolis, and you've probably heard on the news the wonderful winter that we've had this year. I don't know why it made news, and we have a brutal winter every year. And I've been there 15 years. Up until this year, I could count on one hand the number of snow days that my kids have had. This year, they had 9. We have wind chills, minus 60s. I had so much snow in my backyard that in one corner there was a drift. One of my dogs was able to walk right up the snow and out the yard. Couldn't get anywhere because there was just as much snow on the other side of the fence. So, living in Minneapolis, I have two dogs that we adopted from a shelter, and we let them go in the backyard to do their business. And from November to the end of March, don't pick it up. Just let them go in the backyard. How many of you think that's gross? Remember where I live. I'm talking about temperatures near minus 30, wind chills minus 60, snow up to here. Years ago, I discovered a service, company that you can call that does a spring cleanup. They come out and they pick up all the dog poop. Always look forward to that visit. Last year, called schedule service, just as I had countless times, and they didn't respond. And I received an email from one of their competitors. Now, this is a competitive business, offering to provide the same service at the same price. Now, the company I had been using, I really appreciated that they picked up the poop, but there was one thing I didn't like about it. They'd put it in these giant bags and leave it on the side of my home, and it was left for me to throw it away. So I take these bags, I put them in my garbage cans that are in my garage. It starts to thaw. Now you can say what? Ew, there you go, ew. So I get this email from this other company. I said, you know what, this isn't rocket science. We'll try somebody new this year. So the guy comes out, picks up all the poop, and he's leaving. And I said, well, what are you doing? He goes, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm done. I said, yes, but you're taking the poop with you. He says, well, yeah, that's what we do. I said, oh my gosh, you take the poop? It made my week that they did that. Unbelievable. So that afternoon, I get a call from the owner of this small business saying, how'd we do? I said, you do fine. You're just fine with this. But do you compete against this other company? And he says, yeah, we run into them all the time. I said, do you know what your biggest differentiator is compared to them? He says, no, I can't think of it. He says, you take the poop. He says, oh, yeah, I think I knew that. I said, well, you need to be talking with your prospects about that. You ask a question like, what are your expectations with respect to discarding the waste once we pick it up? Most people are going to think industry standard. Now it's an industry. Industry standard is to take the waste with them and discard it. But they know that at least one of their major competitors doesn't. Remember I said the email said that the price was the same? I would have paid more. No, I didn't tell him that. I didn't need to pay more money. He didn't have to match their price. He had meaningful differentiators, but he wasn't talking about it. So it looked exactly the same as the others. So I said, okay, both picking up dog poop, same price, we'll make a change. Done. When it comes to what you sell, sales differentiation, if you can't get someone on the other side of the desk as excited as you are about your differentiators, you might as well not have them, because there's only one conversation you're going to have. What's it going to be? Price. Price. And so often I find companies, executive teams, sales teams, so passionate about their differentiators. Say, boy, we should never have to negotiate. We should be winning at 30%, 50% more than the competition. Yet that's not reality, because they can't communicate their differentiators in a meaningful way. They're passionate about it, but they can't build that energy on the other side of the desk. And like I said, if you can't do that, you may as well not have them. The other side of sales differentiation is sales differentiation in how you sell. And I find we don't think enough about this opportunity that we have, because it is a wonderful opportunity. Because a lot of times we're selling things very similar, if not the same as the competition. But when you look at how you sell, it's differentiating every interaction that you have with a buyer, providing meaningful value that your competition is not, that they would prefer to buy from you rather than the alternative. This is a picture of my son, Steven. He's a high school senior now, baseball player, as you can tell. When he was a junior, my wife and I were all over him. Steven, you got to set up college visits. You got to set up college tours. He's a little slow doing it. I've heard that girls are much better about that than boys. Like boys, yeah, I'll get to it. We're all over him. Though. You got to get going. It's getting late in the year. Well, he was playing in an American Legion baseball tournament last June. And if you're familiar with American Legion, that's where all the college scouts come out. And during a tournament, in 1 week, he had 4 home runs and 3 doubles. We didn't have to ask him to schedule any more visits. All of a sudden, the schools were coming to us. And if you've ever been through a college recruiting experience, you know that's a sale. But these coaches can't differentiate what they sell. They can't add a major. They can't add a dorm. They can't move the campus. It just is. The sole opportunity that they have to differentiate themselves is in the recruiting process, how they sold. Now, you know when you first visit a college campus, as soon as you cross onto the campus, your blood pressure goes up 25 points. Why? Can't find a place to park. Every lot says, park here, we're going to tow you, but welcome. So one school we went to visit, we pull into the parking lot, and there's a spot with Steven's name on it. Different? Yeah. Then we go inside, and there's an agenda for the day with his name at the top. What did it cost this institution to do those 2 things? A penny for the piece of paper and the ink? How much value, how much did they differentiate themselves without talking about their major, their buildings, their campus? Nothing. The recruiting experience itself. When we saw that parking spot with his name on it, 15 minutes we're having this conversation, we were just blown away. Another school had Steven out, hey, come join some of our practices and meet some of the guys. Another school, it was raining the day we were scheduled to visit, and the coach said, hey, Steven, text me when you get here. Figures just to let him know. 3 guys come out with golf umbrellas to escort us in. And the coach says, you know, I hope you don't mind, but I didn't invite admissions to tour the university today. I'm going to do it. Spent 4 hours with us. Then invited Steven to have a dinner with a bunch of the players and then go to a women's volleyball game. Was having text conversations with Steven about every other week until he finally accepted. And that continues even today, because he's still a senior. He hasn't gone there. There were 7 schools recruiting Steven. The one that was number 1 on the list was number 7 at the end of the process. They didn't get rid of a major. They didn't close a dorm. They didn't move their campus. It was the recruiting experience, how he was being sold turned us all off. And that's the opportunity you have when selling. It is tremendously powerful. And I'm going to share with you several examples of that today. What I'm telling you is how you sell, not just what you sell, differentiates you. We all lose sleep about our features and our functions. We're looking at the widget every which way, and it doesn't dawn on us that we have opportunities to provide meaningful value in every interaction that we have between ourselves and a prospect. Things that we can do that they would find meaningful and lead them to want to buy from us rather than the alternative. I'm going to be able to take you through some of those here today. I want to throw one out. The one in the middle, see proposals? So I was in the employment screening industry for a while, drug testing, background screening. And these big companies that we were up against, they would produce these glorious, colorful, fancy, bound proposals. And we could have done the same and looked just like them. We said, let's do something different. Let's take all the marketing stuff out of our document and produce a technical document, a statement of work, a document that they could hold in their hands and say, I know what I'm getting for my investment. And we would tell them, if you want marketing material, we've got plenty on our website, enough to choke a horse. If you want a document that shows you exactly how we are going to provide services to your account, that's what we're giving you. And it worked tremendously well. It was different. They found it so refreshing because, I mean, you get this missive, this thick document, and like, so where's the part that's about me? Our whole document was only about them. Different. Every interaction that you have between yourself and a buyer gives you an opportunity to be different. Like I said, I'm going to share several with you here today, but I'd encourage you, when you go back to your offices, look at every step of the process. From when you prospect, when they're on board, how you handle account management. Look for opportunities to do something different. Now, not different for the sake of different. Like I do a sales differentiation minute video series. And one of them, I'm wearing my wife's beach hat when I started off. And I asked the viewers, does this provide meaningful value to you? And of course it doesn't. It's different, but there's no value. There's no purpose to it. So look for those opportunities to be different, but ones that someone would find meaningful. But why do we even need sales differentiation? Why am I here? Because I'm the best sales consultant in the world. No, why do we need sales differentiation? It's one reason.
Stand the price you want.
Win more deals at the prices you want. It's not just about winning business. It's about protecting margins. We've all had this experience. This account's working us but good. Squeezing us on every nickel. And we drop our prices and we win. Yes. Then we go back and we tell our managers, hey, I got the account. And the manager goes, yeah, you got the account, but look at the price we had to put on it to get it. It's a horrible feeling when your company doesn't love that new piece of business that you've just brought in. Well, the strategies around sales differentiation help you to avoid that challenge. But there are some hurdles or obstacles, if you will, that impede your ability to use sales differentiation strategy. The first one is 3/4 of buyers say that they conduct more than half their research before they ever speak with us. I want you to remember this statistic because we're going to come back to this later. CEB says on average 6.8 people are involved in the typical B2B buying decision. And that's up. A couple of years ago, that number was 5.4. Third one, 3/4 of buyers, that's a big number. 3/4 of buyers say they bought from the salesperson who was first to add value and insight in the relationship. Now, there is nothing we can do about the amount of research that someone does before they speak with us. And there is nothing we can do about the number of people involved in the decision-making process. But there's a lot we can do to be in this group that is first to offer value and insight in the relationship, and that's through how you sell sales differentiation. We're sales managers in the room. We've tried this, right? We yell at the salespeople, go sell the value. Meaning beat up your buyer until they see what we see. Yeah, that doesn't work, does it? You know what else doesn't work? Waiting for price to become an issue and saying, oh, let me tell you why we're different. See, when it comes to sales differentiation, you can't be too early, but you can be too late. And waiting for the price discussion to come up is the perfect example of being too late. So when salespeople look at our rules, we know there's a lot of frustrations with it. People outside of sales, they think this is all glory. This is all fun. They don't do anything. They play golf, right? But I've already shared with you this morning, or this afternoon now, many of the frustrations with sales, but I'll give you another one. Salespeople look at what they have to sell. They can't make it bigger. They can't make it smaller. They can't make it rounder. They can't make it redder, and they can't make it bluer. It just is. How are you supposed to win deals at the prices you want when you're selling something that's the same or very similar to your competition? It's how you sell sales differentiation. Last year, my wife and I decided to host the holidays at our home. And my wife Sharon says, you know, honey, if we're gonna have the family come out, we should replace the carpeting in the dining room. Been in the house almost 15 years. I'm a smart husband. I said, okay, honey, whatever you want. You got my parents coming to town? Yeah, whatever you want. So we went to Home Depot and walked in and were completely overwhelmed by all of the carpeting choices. And my wife looks at me, I look at her, and I'm like, I don't know. But I saw a guy. There was a guy behind the terminal. So I went up to him. I said, excuse me, my wife and I are here to buy carpeting. Can you help us? Big smile comes over. He says, sure. We got carpeting over here. We got carpeting over here, and we got carpeting over here. Let me know if you have any other questions. No, we didn't buy. But not only didn't we buy, we walked out angry and frustrated. We had walked in with a credit card on our forehead. We weren't there to shop. We were there to buy. And we knew every day that went by that we had not purchased this carpeting reduced the chance of it being installed prior to family coming to town. So we're both now in an ornery mood. We get in the car and we're driving home. And we pass a flooring store. I said, honey, would you like to try again? Sure. Pull into the parking lot. I was very disappointed. My name was not on the spot. Go inside, and once again, we're completely overwhelmed by all the choices. But only for a moment. Saleswoman walks up to us and says, what brings you in today? We said, we're here for carpeting for a dining room. Dining room, this section, not for you. Do you have any pets? I said, yes, we have 2 large dogs. This section, not for you. All of a sudden, this universe of possibilities became very finite. And yes, we did buy that day from her. But here's the punchline. Was their carpeting any better than Home Depot's? I don't think so. Was their price better than Home Depot's? No. I think I paid more. I didn't care. I was there with a purpose. I had an objective, and she helped me achieve it. Just last week, the water heater went out in my home. I dread all these stuff because I'm not handy. Anytime this happens, I'm like, oh, here we go, dealing with education, going to these places. So frustrating. Salespeople make it so hard to buy. I mean, I needed a water heater. I wasn't there to shop. I needed one now. Water was spilling on my basement floor. And they're like, well, we got to see if we can get it in your size. I don't know when someone can put it in. And is it a narrow one? Is it a fat one? I'm like, I don't know. I've got a water heater. Help me. The utility company has a division that sells water heaters. I think I paid 30% more. Made it unbelievably easy for me. They said, yep, we'll have someone there tomorrow. They'll be here within this 2-hour window. They're going to take the old one, empty it out, take it with them, put the new one in, done. And it was. Had nothing to do with which one was better, which one was cheaper. And we get so sensitive about price and lose focus on the fact that people have objectives. They have goals. They have business requirements. And if we can help them achieve them, all the conversation about features and functions goes out the window. So I shared with you that I'm going to tell you some examples or ways you can differentiate in how you sell. So let's start at the very beginning, business development. Raise your hand if you'd like to take your top clients, stick them in a copier to get more just like them. Would you like to do that? Yeah, can't do that though, can we? Yeah, no. So we sit there and we prospect, trying to find where they might be hiding, because we don't know where they're hiding. But this is an open book test. We're making this so much harder. I'm going to share with you right now a strategy. No one likes this word, but it's homework. And you all, my business card is on the table. I'm going to share with you a strategy. I want you to go back to your offices and put this into practice and send me the results from it. Here it is. I want you to take 10 clients that you would like to have more of. And you're going to have a conversation with them, not an email, not a text. And the conversation sounds like this. John, you've been working with us for a number of years, so you're familiar with what we offer and the quality of it. If you were me, what associations would you be active in? What conferences would you attend? What events would you go to? What would you be reading to meet more people like you? It's an open book test. We're not asking for referrals. We're not trying to sell them anything. The sole purpose of this conversation is for them to take my hat, put it on their head, and share their perspective. You'll notice I'm not asking them what associations they're a member of, or what conferences they attend, or what they read. I don't care. What I want is their counsel. I want their recommendations. So I gave this assignment to one of my coaching clients in February. And I said, have 10 conversations in a week. At the end of that week, he had completed 8. He had a 25-minute update of everything he learned from those conversations. One of those conversations he had with his CEO present. CEO didn't know about this strategy. That night I got this email. That's a copy and paste, folks. This works. They said, well, that's February. That's a long time ago, right? We're an internet group now. That's too old. So I'll give you this week. This week. I gave that assignment to a client last week. We had a call on Monday. Prior to the call, I was sent a 4-page document. They were assigned 10. They expanded it to 12. They got 6 done. They sent me a 4-page document of everything that they learned from those conversations. People are so gracious. They're willing to help you. We don't have to guess where to find more prospects like them. Let's ask. You will be amazed. So my ask of you, as you put this into practice, email me your results or give me a call, whatever is easiest for you. And this is not in my book, so if you didn't get a picture of this slide, feel free to take one before I change it. This is actually in the new book that I'm working on. I have a face for radio. Go ahead. Okay. Next phase, prospecting. Prospecting. Let's talk about your toughest competitor. What's the name of your toughest competitor?
EF.
EF. What's the name of your toughest competitor?
Oracle.
Oracle. What's the name of your toughest competitor? Staples. Yours? Ford. Caterpillar. E-Solutions. Yourselves. Interesting. I'm not familiar with that competitor. Now, I'm sure those are all tough competitors, but there's one even tougher. And you're probably saying, oh, that old sales trainer one, the status quo, the choice to do nothing. Also a formidable competitor, but there's one even tougher. Anybody know who that is?
Yourself.
A lot of people say that, but there's one even tougher. It's every salesperson calling the same person you are trying to get a meeting. We're egocentric when we think about competition. We look at just the players in our space. How many of you are calling on executives? Who's not calling on an executive or a business owner? So they're getting calls from the entire purview of their responsibilities and more. You're competing with hundreds, if not thousands of salespeople. Competing for what? Time. I shared with you that I was a history major. I'll give you another historical business fact. You ready? You ready? This is big. History of business. There's never been an executive hired whose sole responsibility was to meet with salespeople every hour on the hour. It's never happened. We are an interruption. There is no plan to meet with salespeople. It's nowhere in their job description. So you've got hundreds, if not thousands of salespeople trying to get their attention. So we're competing for FaceTime, and I don't mean the Apple technology. It's the ability to have a meeting. Because here's the way this works. If we can't get a meeting, there's never a proposal. If there's no proposal, there's never a win. If there's no win, there's no commission check. Everyone follow that logic? Yeah, that's a problem. Now, we know that most of the time when we prospect, when we make those calls, we receive voicemail. And this is a very controversial topic. Raise your hand if you believe in leaving a voicemail message when prospecting. Hands down. Raise your hand if you don't believe in leaving a message when prospecting. Yeah, there's always controversy. A lot of people, a lot of different perspectives on that. Raise your hand again if you believe in leaving a voicemail strategy, all of you. Of that group, how many, keep your hands up. Of that group, how many of you have a documented voicemail strategy so that when you reach voicemail, you know exactly what you're going to say? A lot of hands just went down. How does that make sense? We know we're going to reach voicemail much more often than we will the live person, and we don't have a documented strategy of what we're going to do with it. So let me ask you this question. If I left you a message saying, hey, I got 50 grand for you, raise your hand if you call me back. A couple of you. How about if I can cut your cell phone bills in half? Call me back? Couple. How about if I can reduce your interest rates by 5%? Raise your hand. Only a couple. What can I possibly leave on a voicemail message that's going to get you to call me back? I offered you money. I offered to reduce interest rates. I offered to reduce costs, and there was never a case where everyone's hand went up. What can I leave in a voicemail message that's going to get you to call me? Nothing. Nothing. There is nothing you're going to leave in a voicemail message that's going to consistently result in you getting calls back. So you probably think I am anti-voicemail. You're wrong. I'm pro-voicemail. Pro-voicemail. I believe it's a key part, a critical part of prospecting. What's wrong is our expectations. We expect that we are going to leave a voicemail message and they're going to call you back. It's not going to happen. So let's change the game. Let's handle that voicemail strategy differently. What we're going to do is leave a voicemail message that does two things. Creates intrigue and prepares them for when you get them live. Wet their whistle, if you will. In your voice message, say to them, I don't expect you to call me back. Wow, that's different. I don't expect you to call me back. But of course, we leave our contact information in the event that they do. But say, I don't expect you to call me back. I will try it another time. But wet their whistle in the message and know you're not getting a call back. That's different. So what I'm saying is when we're prospecting, we have to be different if we're the ones that are ultimately going to get that meeting. Here's how. It's 2 in the morning and there's a pounding on your front door. It's the police. They want to have a conversation with you about a crime that's recently been committed. Now, they don't randomly pick you in your home for a conversation. They follow a trail of evidence, put together a crime theory, That crime theory has led them to you for a conversation right now. Can you see where we're going? A sales crime theory. A sales crime theory. Every buyer, there is a way to get their business. But we play the game blindfolded. It didn't work at the 5-year-old kitty birthday party, and it doesn't work when we're prospecting. Raise your hand if you love cold calling. You do not. You like people hanging up the phone on you, slamming doors in your face? You love that? I do. You love that too? You're rare. You're rare. But you know, there's someone that hates it more than the rest of you. The person on the other end of the phone. Because the only reason we're calling is to sell our stuff whether you need it or not. What do they say? They're buying or they're crying. Well, a sales crime theory gets us out of this business from just calling without purpose. Sales crime theory is founded in the answer to this question, and this is one you're going to want to take a picture of. Why should they want to have a conversation with you right now? Not why should we talk with them. Why should they want to have a conversation with you right now? That is our fundamental question. So we need to first identify what types of sales crime theory evidence would tell us that they should want to have a conversation with us right now. Let's say, for example, what we sell. It's technology for conference rooms. When would they want to have a conversation with us right now? Well, if they acquired a company, if they've relocated, maybe there's a new CIO in place, maybe they opened a new location. High likelihood that there is a conversation going on about the technology in their conference rooms, therefore, they should want to have a conversation with us right now. So we need a search for sales crime theory evidence. The session after mine, Sam Richter, I don't know if you know who Sam is, take the cold out of cold calling. He's got a great internet research tool that can help you take this sales crime theory approach, put it into practice. Outstanding speaker, great content, and the strategy, again, will help you put this into practice. All in the search for the answer to this question of why should they want to have a conversation with us right now. Let's say, for example, what we sell reduces costs and improves efficiency. And we come across an article in the Business Journal, CEO of ABC Manufacturing, talking about an initiative to reduce costs and improve efficiency. We now have sales crime theory evidence to reach out to the head of manufacturing. Let me give you two scenarios. Salesperson A calls up, happens to get that head of manufacturing on the phone and says, hey, we work with heads of manufacturing to reduce costs and increase efficiency. Is that something that you're looking to do? Salesperson B, I've just come across an article in the Business Journal, an interview with your CEO, talking about an initiative to reduce costs and increase efficiency. And I'm guessing since you're the head of manufacturing, that responsibility is going to be passed along to you. Which one's getting the meeting?
B.
Which one had the better product? It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Salesperson A could have had the superior product, but how he was selling was inferior to B. Never got to the table. So when I talk about the power of how you sell sales differentiation, that's it right there. If I could make it as simple as that example for you to see there's something there, there's meat there. It's the phone approach, had nothing to do with who had the superior product. If we do this well, we stand out. Remember, we've got hundreds, if not thousands of salespeople calling the same people that we are. Now, give yourselves a hand, big hand. All right. Anybody want to know why you're clapping? Yeah. Well, congratulations. Your sales crime theory worked and you got the meeting. You got the meeting. No sooner did you get the meeting that you're going to blow it. Because you're going to start the meeting like this. Using the two words. that I personally guarantee you turn buyers off. Anybody know those 2 words? What is it? No, 2 words. 2 words. I want. I want. And it sounds like this. What I want to do today. Really? What I want to do today? Anybody see Fast Times at Ridgemont High? I know I'm dating myself. Okay? If you're here and I'm here, doesn't this make it our time? Remember that with Spicoli? Remember that? There you go. Very good. What I want to do today. Think of the message that we've communicated. This is all about me and my commission check. That's why I'm here. What I want to do today. There's only one person in the world who cares what you want. You know who that is? You. Nope, it's Mom. Thank you. No one else cares what you want. If we want to be different, start the meeting like this. For this to be a good use of your time, what is it that you want to be sure that we cover? You're showing respect. Showing respect, saying, this is our meeting. Let's see if there's something here. Not what I want to do. Setting an agenda is not a best practice, but proposing one is. And there's a difference. So what I'm saying is the words that you use and don't use affect your ability to be different, positively or negatively. 2 young boys started playing Little League Baseball at the age of 8. When they're 12, they're now eligible for the Little League All-Star team, the Road to Williamsport. You may have seen that on ESPN in August, right? Only one of them is going to be selected for that All-Star team. So they both started at 8. They're now 12. They have 5 years of experience. Here's my question. You ready? Which one's the All-Star? Stephen or David?
Stephen.
Stephen, why? What do you see there?
The look about him.
The look about him. Stephen or David?
Steven.
Why?
Gloves are in his pocket.
Gloves in his pocket. How about you? What do you think?
Can't tell from the picture.
You can't what? What's wrong with the picture?
There's no information other than they play Little League.
Oh, so what you're saying is telling you about years of experience is meaningless? Don't we all do that? We go on sales calls. We go on sales calls talking about we've got 15 years, 20 years, 100 years experience. Expecting it to be meaningful to a buyer. Well, guess what? It means the same thing to them that that baseball story meant to you. Bupkis. 0. If we want to be different, the conversation is expertise. How have you used experience to develop mastery? Progressive Insurance does this. Have you seen their commercials where they're saying, we've seen it all, and we have expertise dealing with every single situation? That's what they're calling out.
Farmers.
I'm sorry, not progressive. Farmers. Yes, farmers. There's also one word that buyers love to hear, and we don't use it enough, but it's a delicate word, and that word is help. Help. We help our clients beat their competitors, be more profitable, increase revenue. But I said it's a delicate word. If what you sell improves customer service, and you approach me and say, yeah, we can help you improve the customer service experience. If I've never said it's a problem, you've just insulted me. That's how delicate this word is. Another fun one, honest. How many of you in your interaction with prospects say that you're honest? Please stop. There was a psychological study done, multiple actually. When someone says that they are honest, that's when you get nervous. The inference is always that you're an honest person. If you see there's a need to describe yourself as being honest, that gives people a moment of pause. You can Google it. You'll find several studies on this. Don't use the word honest. You are honest. So what I'm saying is that the words that you use and don't use influence your ability to be seen as different. The question is it positive or is it negative? Okay, I've got to ask you this question. This is my favorite question. I've been asking this question for about 12 years now, all across the country, up in Canada. And I want to see if I get the same answer here that I get elsewhere. You ready?
Yes.
Who knows more about the world of potential solutions in your industry You or the people you sell to? The people you sell to know more than you? Who knows more about the world of potential solutions in your industry? You or the people you sell to? Huh?
It's a partnership.
Well, but who knows more coming in? I sure hope so. I've never had a salesperson say to me, you know what, the people I sell to, they know much more about the world of potential solutions in my industry. Never happens. The worst advice you've been given in sales is that you're selling to educated buyers. You've all just proven that's not the case. Yes, they're doing some research. Remember that statistic I said to remember? Yes, they're doing research. It doesn't mean they know more than you. They still need your help. And I'd argue because we know more about the world of potential solutions in our industry than the people we sell to, we have both an obligation and an opportunity. The obligation is, I believe, if you're in sales, you have an obligation to help people make an informed buying decision, which leads to an opportunity to help shape buyer decision criteria. They don't know how to buy what you're selling. Now, don't shout out the answer. Just raise your hand if you can tell me the difference between a regular apple and an organic apple. Raise your hand. A couple. A couple. This is a product we buy every week, and we don't know how to make an informed decision on an apple. You think they know how to buy what you're selling? Most of us just know this. It's expensive, and it's not as shiny. But if you research it, there are meaningful differences with organic fruit. But in the absence of that, it's not as pretty and it's more expensive, so I'm buying the other fruit. We buy it every week. We don't know how to make an informed buying decision on the apple. They don't know how to buy what you're selling. Last year, I decided to replace all the recessed lighting in my home with LED bulbs. Right? And we do that to reduce costs and the life of the bulb. And I'm not handy, I shared that with you earlier. So had an electrician do it. And he puts in all the bulbs, and the one in my daughter's shower keeps burning out. Now that's not supposed to happen, right? It's supposed to last 15 to 20 years. So the electrician comes back, takes the bulb out, puts his hand up there, says, oh, it's all wet. And he looks up in my attic, he says, Lee, you have no insulation whatsoever around your hi-hats. I guess that's what you call recessed lighting. No insulation. You got to get some insulation blown up here, or you're going to keep having this problem. Now, I know two things about insulation. It's pink, and it's R something or other. That's it. So I go to my trusty source, Google, to find someone to handle this work. First company makes the appointment, sends the guy out, gives me a price. Second company makes the appointment, sends the guy out, gives me a price. Third company makes the appointment, sends me an email. Lee, I'm guessing you've never purchased insulation before. Here are a series of questions that you want to ask so that you make an informed decision. Oh my gosh, thank you, because my two questions were, is it pink? Is it R something or other? That was all I had. Then he comes out. And he looks at it and he says, by the way, you planning to take advantage of the rebate from the utility company? I said, rebate? What rebate? He says, Lee, you said you met with two of my competitors. They didn't tell you there's a $500 rebate? No. He got the deal despite being the most expensive. I believe that he had expertise, he demonstrated care, he offered guidance, and that gave me confidence to use him for the work. Was his insulation any better? It was pink, it was R something or other. That was it. How he sold made all the difference. Now, the city of Denver jumped on the bandwagon. They replaced the bulbs in their traffic lights with LED bulbs. Now they're getting sued. They're getting sued. See, the traffic light serves two purposes using the incandescent bulb: to communicate a traffic message and melt the snow. LED bulbs don't get hot enough. So now what's happening is the traffic light is covered in snow, accidents are happening, and people are now suing the city of Denver for a poor decision. People don't know how to buy what you're selling. Boy, this makes so much sense. We're going to reduce energy costs for the city. I'm sure it was a 7, if not 8-figure number, what it was going to do Now it's costing them probably 9 figures in lawsuits. So we all agree that we know more about the world of potential solutions in our industry than the people that we sell to. But if our approach is to lecture them, it makes for a very short meeting. Anybody here like to be lectured? Do your kids like to be lectured?
My wife likes it.
Your wife likes it. I don't believe that for 1 second.
That's a good idea.
If his wife was here, would he have just gotten dragged out by the neck? Yeah. Horrible communication style. Raise your hand if sometime in your life you were told you should be in sales. Why were you told that?
Because I'm a good communicator.
Good talker. Good talker. Right? People not in sales say, boy, if you're a great talker, you should be in sales. Right? And when you look at the most critical sales skill, people on outside say, oh, if you're a great talker, if you have the gift of gab, you should be in sales. Now, we're on the inside. And we say, we know that's not true. We're the sales managers again. So we always preach listening skills is the most critical skill. You got to listen. And I'd argue there's one even more critical, and that's asking. Asking thoughtful, insightful questions. Look at it the other way. If we ask thoughtful, insightful questions, now there's something to listen to, and then we can share information appropriately. Now, when we talk about asking questions, salespeople are accustomed to 2 types of questions. One's to qualify, and one's to find pain or challenges. But there's another type of question that I believe is missing from your repertoire. This is a question type that I'd argue is the most powerful in your ability to differentiate in how you sell. These are questions that help buyers think differently about the solutions they have or could have. Can't lecture. Can't lecture. Ask questions that help them think differently about the solutions they have or could have. This word disruption gets thrown out quite a bit. I look at the word disruption meaning disrupting the way a buyer looks at the solutions they have or could have. That should be on your business card. Well, probably not on your business card, but you get the point. That's our job. We need to disrupt complacency. We need to disrupt the way they look at their present situation if we're going to be effective in positioning an alternative. Now, if you've ever been to court or watched court television, you know attorneys can't testify. Their sole set of tools in their toolbox is asking questions of the witness in such a way that it paints a picture for the decision-making group, the jury, so that that group sees exactly what the attorney wants them to see. If you've ever been to the psychiatrist or a psychologist, you know they don't give you the answers. They ask you questions, lead you down a path until you see what they see. And that's what we need to do in sales. Lead them down the path so that they see what we see. I do a lot of work with non-sales people who are in sales roles, like the support people that you bring in, like when you bring in an operations person or an IT person or a product manager. And I work with them and say, your job is not to be on the pedestal and lecture them about all this stuff. Develop questions so that they see what's in your head. And that's hard for them because they're so used to being a subject matter expert. And now I'm saying you need to change the way that you're communicating. And it's so much more effective when they do. So when we talk about challenge questions expose areas or aspects that someone perceives could be better or different. And they're questions like this. What are 3 things you'd like to have that you don't have today? What are some of the challenges that you're having? So have you ever gone on a meeting, spent about an hour there, and asked all these challenge questions, and you walked out and you found no pain or no challenges? Ever been there? Yeah. That can't happen. That should not happen. Remember we said that no one has ever had the job of meet with a salesperson every hour on the hour? So there was something there. We just failed to uncover it. So I'm going to share with you a question that if you use this to open your meeting, you will never have that happen to you again. What was it I said on the phone that led you to take the meeting with me? It's an open book test. Ask them, what did I say on the phone that intrigued you to meet with me? So we agree we know more about the world of potential solutions in our industry, so they need our help. They need our help. But we have to help ourselves first. If we only ask challenge questions, we will never expose the other side of the equation, which is the areas that they don't know can be better or different. You all have this. In what you're selling, you're calling on people that they don't have the expertise you have in your space. They don't know a particular aspect could be better or different. So we need a question type called a positioning question. Positioning questions are open-ended questions that map back to a particular differentiator of yours and help people think differently about the solutions they have or could have. Everybody want to take a picture here? All right. Oh, sorry. Oh, I moved too fast? Remember, I had a face for radio, so I don't know why you want the picture. Okay. So I've shared with you some of the screwiness surrounding Minnesota. I'll give you another one. Most of the counties in the state of Minnesota, every homeowner and every business contracts for their own trash removal. You ever heard of such a thing? Wednesday mornings, there is a parade of garbage trucks coming down my street representing every hauler you can name. Each of these trucks does seemingly the same thing. Truck pulls up to the home, arm extends out, grabs the can, lifts it up, dumps it into the truck, puts it back down, drives away. You get an invoice at the end of the month. CEO from one of these companies reached out to me. He said, Lee, I believe we have meaningful differentiators. And I believe we're just ineffective at communicating them. Now, I was intrigued. I watch this every Wednesday morning. Arm comes out, lifts it up, dumps it out. It's like, okay. So they went through a sales differentiation program with me, and he was right on both counts. They did have meaningful differentiators, and they were completely ineffective in positioning them. One of their differentiators is a truck called a Can Be Clean truck. Only ones in the state of Minnesota that have this. This is a truck that follows a garbage truck twice a year and cleans your garbage cans. How cool is that? Imagine if you were using that dog cleaning service that I was using before. How important that service might be. But they didn't know how to have that conversation. So we developed a positioning question designed to be asked at the very beginning of the conversation. These are salespeople knocking on homeowner doors. Right after they introduce themselves, the next thing out of their mouth is, when is the last time you had your garbage cans cleaned? Because we know they never have unless they've done it themselves. Ever cleaned your garbage cans? How miserable is that? Right? Think about, you're selling a garbage service. Without that question, the only conversation people want to have is, if you can save me a nickel, I'll make the change. Totally change the conversation. What we've also done is help people think differently about something as simple as a trash solution, not because of something we've said, but rather a question that we've asked. Yeah, why isn't someone cleaning my garbage cans? Now, if we only relied on challenge questions and we said something like, what are 3 things you'd like to have that you don't have today? No one would ever say, I'd love it if someone cleaned my garbage cans, because you don't know it exists. That's why it's so important that we have questions that expose the aspects that they don't know could be better or different. If we just rely on the challenge questions, you're relying on what they perceive can be better or different. We have to also work the side that they didn't know could be better or different. Dude wipes. Dude wipes. Have you heard of this product? They're on Shark Tank? Okay. They're trying to disrupt a centuries-old industry. Oh, Jeffrey's back. Jeffrey, you're going to like this story. Dude wipes. They're trying to disrupt a centuries-old industry. Toilet paper. And they're selling something that is about $7 a pack, much more expensive than toilet paper. And I read an article in Men's Health magazine, and one of the founders raised an interesting point. He said, if you got chocolate on your arm, would you wipe it off with a dry paper towel and feel clean? Disgusting? Yes. That slide you will remember long after you've left this room. That's their goal, to help you to think differently about the solutions you have or could have. That's the power of positioning questions. Had nothing to do with what product was superior. It's getting them to think differently about the solutions they have or could have. So it's not what we say, but rather what we ask that helps us stand out in the pack. References. References. What sale would be complete without a request for references? How many do they always ask for? 3. I don't know why it's 3. They just always ask for 3. And it is the most misunderstood phase of the entire sales process. Salesperson has just heard, we're getting the deal. They asked for references. It doesn't dawn on them that they asked the same question of 2 other suppliers. So they go running down the office to their manager and says, hey, we're getting the deal. They run back. They sit down at their workstation, go in the CRM, update. Oh, please, you don't go in your CRM. Let's go to the other side. Why do they even ask for references? Why do they ask for references? Validation. Validation. Because we said we're best, they don't believe it. But why is validation so important? Because decision making carries with it risk. If you make the decision to change suppliers or outsource something that was not outsourced before and it goes wrong, we're going to find you and your career is going to be in jeopardy. I wondered that CB stat that I shared about the number of people involved in decision making. You welcome that because now you spread out the risk among more people. I don't want to be the one whose name is on that. We had a committee. So I said this is the most misunderstood phase of the entire sales process. The salesperson heard, we're getting the deal, and the buyer is saying this is a critical validation step for us. So we have an opportunity to be different, to provide meaningful value that our competition is not in this reference stage. And if you don't think this matters, think about the deals you've won and the deals you didn't. When you won, you didn't blow the competition out of the water. When they beat you, they didn't blow you out of the water. It was little things that were done in the process that made all the difference in the world. Now, salespeople, we know we get asked for 3 references, and how many do we have in our back pocket ready to go? 3. Well, if we want to be different, we need to build a database or a portfolio. People that could speak to every aspect that someone might want to validate in a reference conversation. Can you handle an account of this complexity or this size and this geography? We need people that can speak to that. Most companies need 30 to 50 of these. And a company is not a reference. It's the people inside the company. You may have 6 different contacts that can speak to different aspects of what you provide. That's 6 references, not 1. When you get asked for references, let your competition see it as a task and say, no problem, I'll have those to you by 5 o'clock. You're going to do something different. You're going to ask 2 questions back. What is it you're hoping to learn during these conversations? And who's going to make the call? Why do we ask those questions?
So that we can let our references know that they're calling and why they're calling.
Well, so we can pick the ones from that portfolio, right? So we can pick the right ones for this opportunity. Think about the conversations that you've had. What were they concerned about? And use that also as a factor to select the right references. Now, this reference stage is a critical part of the sales process, but it's the wild, wild west. No one knows how to be a reference. They've never been trained in it. And it's a critical sales function. And it's completely undefined. We need to put structure and framework around that for one purpose. The sole purpose, to help our buyer, our decision influencer, accomplish their objective of validation. Let me show you how. Raise your hand if you have carte blanche with some clients say, oh, use my name anytime you want as a reference. Yeah, don't do that. That's a trap. They're not disingenuous. But if they're on a project, they're busy, and they don't return the emails, they don't return the calls, it looks negatively on you, reflects poorly on you. And I've seen studies where they've said that the reference experience was the reason why they selected one supplier over another, and non-responsive references reflect poorly on that supplier. So we need to give them a heads up, let them know someone is going to be calling. But they don't know how to play the role of reference. There's no book you can read. Maybe I should write that book. How to be a reference. We need to coach them. Phyllis, thank you so much for agreeing to serve as a reference for us. Tom Smith, who's also a vice president of manufacturing with the ABC company, is going to be reaching out to you. He's having issues with A, B, and C, just like you were a couple of years ago. And the solution that we've proposed is the same one that we put in place for you. When you speak with him, please talk about the implementation experience, the customer service experience, and the overall results you've seen from this solution. Got it. Phyllis now knows what conversation to have. Now let's go to the other side. Tom, your competitors are going to give basically name, rank, and serial number. You're going to give a company name, the individual's name, their title, phone number, email address, and, super important, how Phyllis wants to be contacted. Some people say, call me anytime. Some say, send an email, schedule an appointment. Communicate that to Tom so he does it properly. And now here's the kicker. Our competition just gave name, rank, and serial number. We're going to give a narrative overview. Tom, Phyllis Jones has agreed to speak with you about our company. A few years ago, Phyllis was having the same 3 challenges you were of A, B, and C, and the solution we implemented for her is the same solution that we are suggesting for you. When you talk with with her, be sure to ask about the implementation experience, customer service, and the results that she has seen from the solution. Now we have helped both sides have the conversation that our buyer needs to have so that we get the deal at the prices that we want. The request for references, that's our last chance. That's our last opportunity to be different. Just check time here. Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground really fast. What are your questions on sales differentiation?
I got a question on like the references.
Yeah.
You think references on the buyer side is a possibility for leverage if you do a poor job to trash you to your existing customers? Is that a negative connotation?
Say that one more time.
So customers, or somebody asks for references on a deal.
Right?
All right, and they choose you. Can they use those references after the fact?
Potentially.
That was just a thought that occurred.
Yeah. But if we frame this properly and we help both sides have that right conversation, you're doing something that your competition does not. You're showing that you genuinely care. You're showing that you generally are respecting them and the process that they're going through. One more question, and then we got another section to get through. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what do you recommend to create these creative questions to show differentiation? Because that should be something we should be able to prepare.
Yeah.
Like a set of questions.
100%. So I'm going to give you a short answer, and I apologize that it sounds commercial. There's a 5-step process that I lay out in my book, Sales Differentiation. There's 3 exercises that it helps you go through to find where your differentiators are and develop a strategy to communicate them in a meaningful way. I'm going to keep this going, or the man in the back is going to beat me up. The last opportunity we have to be different that we have time to talk about today is personal value differentiation. Now, you can argue with me about all the strategies and techniques that I've shared with you here today, but I call this the irrefutable differentiator because it's you. When someone buys from your company, you are part of the deal. But so what? I find that salespeople don't think enough about the personal value that they bring to bear because they're part of the relationship. Whether you've been selling for a year or 30 years, there is value that you personally bring to bear, but you got to take a step back and think about it. Identify what that is. I'll give you some examples of personal value differentiation. The first one is become an expert in your space, your product, your industry, the people that you sell to, because they don't know how to buy what you're selling. This next one's interesting. There was a study done among CEOs on why they bought from one salesperson over another. Overwhelmingly, they said they bought from the salesperson with the lowest price. Just kidding. Just see if paying attention. They said they bought from the salesperson who they believed had the full support of the company behind them because when, not if something went wrong, they could get it fixed. So often I find salespeople marvelous in the field, a nightmare inside their own company. They beat up customer service. They beat up IT. They beat up finance. And here's the deal, and you all know this. Two ways things get done in companies. There's SOPs and there's relationships. If you have relationships throughout your organization, you can get things done that other people cannot. And if you have those relationships, that's an opportunity you have to differentiate yourself. Not saying that there's going to be problems, but if you ever need anything, I know who to go to and I can get answers fast. And the last one, I'd be a billionaire if I could teach you how to do this. It's to be genuine. Whatever their goals are, whatever their objectives are, they need to be yours as well. I built a sales team during the technology training boom in the dot-com space. And I had 3 different sales teams, one that sold to the government, one that sold to companies, and one that sold to individuals. Career changers, people on the outside looking in saying, I got to get a job in IT. I could stack rank my career changer salespeople based on the use of one product. Anybody want to venture a guess? Tissues. Boxes of tissues. My top salespeople went through boxes and boxes and boxes of tissues. Why? These are emotional conversations. Why do people want to take these programs? I want to start a family. I want to get married. I want to buy a home. I'm deeply in debt. These were emotional. And my top people got it. And they were so closely embraced with their students. My bottom salespeople, the box of tissues that was in their office when they arrived is the same box that was there when they were escorted out. Always amazed at holiday time, the UPS guy, the FedEx guy, postman, coming into our office. Not to pick up, to drop off, gifts. My salespeople getting gifts from students who paid $9,000 to $10,000 out of their own pockets because of the value the salespeople provided that they genuinely cared. But how do you prove it? Anything I've just shared, you'd need to be doing business with me to know that it's true. How do you prove it? It's your references. Your references. Coach Phyllis to talk about you. Just like I am for your account, I would also be their account manager. When you talk with them, please talk about the different ideas that I've brought to you, my responsiveness, how I've worked with your account. Because when we say we're the best, it's meaningless. When others say it about us, it means everything. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today.